Hello beauties, and welcome back to the Bumpy Bones Locksport channel. So in today's video, I thought we would talk about wafer locks really quick. So I was chatting with a friend earlier this week, and we got talking about wafer locks and how they work and how you can pick them. So let's go ahead and get started here. Now, wafer locks are very similar to a pen tumbler lock. They just have these little wafers on the inside of the lock that you lift like you would a key pen in or a pen in a pen tumbler lock. You normally find wafer locks on like desk drawers, cabinets, key switches, lockers, cash boxes, and electrical panels. They're not a terribly secure lock. Um, so you can single pick them open, you can rake them, you can jiggle them open, you can give them a stern look and they may open. So let's go ahead and actually open this guy up here and see what the inside of a wafer lock looks like. Now, I do have some oil in this, so I am just going to throw some gloves on because I want to keep my hands a bit clean. So I'm just going to remove our retaining screw here. And what that's going to allow me to do is pull the core out. And as you can see, the core came out, the wafers are still in place. They won't come out on this lock here. So if we take a look at the body here, and let me change we'll notice that instead of security pins, what we got these cutouts on the side of the body here. And that's what's going to prevent it from the core from turning when the key is not in place or when you don't have this in a pick state. As you can see, our wafers are sticking out here. So when I slide this in, those wafers are going to prevent the core from turning while there's no key in there. But when you insert the key, what's going to happen with these wafers is they will lift to the shear line here. And so if I take my pick here and put it in here, you can see I can manipulate these pens individually with a pick here. And so it's very, very similar to a pen tumbler lock in that way. So let's go ahead and reassemble this. And let's take a look on how we can actually open this lock up. So let me go ahead and throw this back in place here. And then we want to put this on and reattach our screw here. There we go. All right, so there are three ways that we can pick open a wafer lock. You can, or technically four because zipping is one, but I always include zipping as raking and all that. So you can single pick these, and what we'll do is I'll actually single pick this one because this is a 4 wafer lock. You can rake them or you can jiggle them open. So the tools that we will be using is we're just going to use the standard quint rake from Christina Palmer. This is from Multi-Pick. You can use a jiggler, and I'm going to use my Cobra Instruments Cobra Companion Pro here. And what a jiggler is, it's these picks here. So it is actually these three here. So you have a double-sided, you got a single-sided, and then you've got this one here that's got just the end there. Now, when it comes to wafer locks, most wafer locks, you'll get away with single bitting, so that's where the bitting is only on one side of the key. But some keys do have bitting on both sides, and so for example, like an automotive lock here, this is going to have bitting on both sides of the keyway that we're going to have to interact with. You can get these from these, I forget, I think they're the car challenge locks from Sparrows. And these are wafer locks as well. And these are supposed to mimic ignition locks and all that. And what's really nice about these is you got a 3 wafer, you got 6 wafer, and then you got 10 wafer. So they increase in difficulty as you play with them. So, in terms of getting these open, typically what you do is, you don't always need to have a tensioner. Sometimes a tensioner is nice, but what you can do is you can take a regular rake and rake this open. What you do is you put your rake in here and you kind of twist it like you would a key, and then you just kind of jiggle it around, rake it around, and eventually you get it open. So you can see we are open, and that was without tensioning or tensioner. I just kept the pick going on an angle and applying tension as I was raking and all that. And we can do this with, regular picking. So we can go ahead and, let's use this guy here and throw this one in. And what I'm going to do is use my 1.2 millimeter. Actually, with this one, I'm going to tension off the bottom just because it will make getting to the wafers a little bit easier. And you can see we can just go ahead and wafer or rake that wafer. And this is probably the easiest way of getting a wafer lock open is by raking or jiggling. Jiggling is the same exact principle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jiggler. I like the double-sided jiggler for a lot of locks. I'm just going to insert this in, and I'm just going to jiggle that around. And this one, yep, there we go. And you can see we now have it open and all of that. So those are kind of the two quickest ways of doing this. Now, what we can also do is we can also pick a wafer lock open, kind of similar as a pin tumbler lock. So I'll only throw this guy in here, and this is a little bit hard to get into the vise here. And what we're going to do is I am going to take my 2 millimeter pry bar, because wafer locks tend to have a wider keyway. And I'm going to tension off the top like I would a pin tumbler. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to interact with each of the wafers by themselves, one at a time. I'm going to keep kind of light pressure on. You don't need a lot of pressure. Oops. And there we go. Tensioner kind of flew with that one, but you can see we are now open. So these are wafer locks. Again, they're pretty easy to open up and get open. So I hope everybody kind of found this video informative and enjoyed the video. As always, if you like my videos, always feel free to comment and like them and subscribe to my channel. And I hope everyone has a beautiful day, and I will see you all later.